Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've got a really fun cocktail build today. Interestingly enough, this is my second take on this video. I already filmed the entire episode, and after doing so, had a friend over, made the cocktail in a different manner, essentially switched up the spirits. I will get into that a little bit more, but long story short, I liked the second version I built better. So as we do in the cocktail industry, in the bar industry, we experiment, we mess with different prototypes and sub things out for other things. And in this case, I ended up finding a recipe that I liked better. So I decided to scrap the first one. We're doing a take two. I am gonna present to you guys what, if I had not mentioned anything, would just have been the normal episode. But I like sharing. That's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do. I enjoy the process. So today's cocktail famously created because of a surplus of rum, which is a problem that I wouldn't mind having, but I digress. This is still the intro. I haven't even gotten to what we're doing. We're making a hurricane today. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm very excited. I wore my hurricane pin. It's right here on my very brightly colored shirt because today's gonna be a party. We're having a blast. We're making a hurricane. We'll see you guys in a second. Today we are going to be building the world famous hurricane, and I mentioned a little bit up front about the origins of this cocktail. Anybody who's been to New Orleans knows that this drink fits right in the city. It very much has a celebratory kind of party forward. It's big, it's bright, it's bold, much like New Orleans. If you've never been, I don't know why you're even wasting your time watching this. Go drive there, book a flight, start running. I don't know. However you need to get there, hop on a Greyhound bus, whatever you need to do. But back to the cocktail. The hurricane was invented at Pat O'Brien's in New Orleans sometime in the 40s. So we're looking kind of post the birth of what is now known as tiki. And at the time, whiskey was a lot harder to get your hands on. There was a much higher demand post-prohibition. Whiskey had become the drink of choice in terms of spirits in the States. Rum at this point had kind of taken a back seat. So say you wanted a case of scotch or you wanted a case of whiskey, you would be required to buy 3 cases of a gin or a rum or something else that they had in surplus. I think usually at that time, rum was in much higher abundance. So essentially what happened was they ended up with this giant lot of rum because they needed to buy that to get their whiskeys, but they weren't selling the rum as quickly. So what did they do? They developed this cocktail. It would have been developed because of the importance of what was happening with places like Dog Beachcomber, Trader Vic's, and that kind of tiki boom that was happening that started in the early 30s and was really picking up steam into the 40s. And we have a bunch of rum. Those drinks are becoming very popular. Why not kind of jump on that? We'll create a rum drink that kind of falls into that tropical category and hopefully push some of these bottles that we have way too many of out. Those are kind of the 2 main theories as to why the cocktail that we're going to be tasting today, or building today rather, hopefully you're making it at home and tasting it with us, but those are kind of the 2 main theories as to why this drink would have been created. There are multiple builds of this drink. I have seen this drink made with lemon juice. I've seen it made with lime juice. I've seen blends of the 2. I've seen it made with just a spirit, a sour, and a sweet, and that sweet being simply passion fruit syrup. But today we're going to be focusing on what my closest interpretation to the original recipe would have been, and that would have utilized something called Fascinola, which I actually took the time to make a batch of here. And that essentially, for anyone who is familiar with making, like, say, an oleosaccharum, where you take peels of fruit and you soak them in sugar, the sugar being hydrophilic soaks up all of that moisture from the fruit, being water, being oil, being that flavor, that essence. And essentially you are left with a really rich fruit forward syrup And that is what I did here. Although instead of just using fruit peels, which are in here, there are some lemon and orange peels, I actually use a whole ton of fresh fruit as well. So things like mango, pineapple, blueberry, raspberry, blackberry. I think I even chucked a banana in here for good measure. So you can essentially think of this as just a really fun, floral, fruity, rich fruit syrup. The nice thing about this is because this is alcohol free, it's literally just sugar and fruit. You could use this as a non-alcoholic mixer. Say, take your lemon juice or your lime juice and your syrup, throw that in some soda water, and you have a delicious alcohol-free treat. So you can share that with people who are NA, who aren't drinking, anybody that wants a delicious drink but doesn't want the alcohol. Today we're going to be focusing on that recipe, using a Fashionola, using some fresh squeezed lemon juice. I've had it both ways. I prefer it with the lemon. It tends to be a little brighter. It really, for me, works in conjunction with the Fashionola. It's got a lot of very bright, vibrant fruit flavors. Specifically like the oranges and pineapples, and I think lemon for me works a little bit better. It's not quite as zingy, not quite as tart as lime, though the nice thing about this and every cocktail is you really can make this your own, build it the way you want, but for today's purposes I will be using fresh squeezed lemon juice. I'll be using a touch of house-made grenadine and a little bit of Peychaud's bitters. These are going to be doing two things, helping to balance out the cocktail a little bit better, because remember I said this is very sweet. Oh, and this does have, before I move on, this does have a touch of, we got hibiscus tea, so just dried hibiscus flowers steeped in water. It makes this really deep, dark, rich, red, vibrant, very tart tea, and I added a little bit of that just to pop that red color up even more. A little bit of grenadine also going to add to that tartness. Make these things fresh. I know it's kind of a pain. You can buy them already made, but in my opinion, it's so much more effective to use fresh made, just like I'm doing, fresh juiced, fresh made. But this is essentially sugar, pomegranate juice. I would say stay away from the Palm brand. Not a great company, and allegedly not great people. But it's basically those two ingredients. I do like to throw a little bit of pomegranate molasses in here as well, just to give it a little bit of salinity, kind of make those flavors pop a little bit more. And a little bit of Peychaud's bitters, just once again balancing, bringing in a little bit of bitter to kind of soften the edges of that very, very sweet sugary syrup we have here. And then bringing our rums into play. One of my all-time favorite mixing rums, Probitas. It is a rum blend, lightly aged. I believe the portion coming out of Foursquare is lightly aged, and the other portion of this is coming out of Hampton Estate, and that is unaged rum out of Jamaica. And because this is a New Orleans staple, I wanted to actually inject it with a little bit of authenticity, and I picked up a bottle of the Rouleson Overproof, and this is from cane grown on site in Louisiana, and they run their entire operation out of New Orleans proper. Those are our ingredients. We're gonna shake them up, we're gonna pour the drink, and I have to go grab a little bit of ice and my glassware, which actually I failed to mention. The drink itself is served in a hurricane glass, which is a vessel that was designed to look like one of the old hurricane lamps. As you can see, I have my hurricane glass here, and as stated before, you can see that similarity there to the little gas lamp. So, I'm going to take this opportunity to get started with our lemon juice. It's going to be the first portion of our build. And we are going to do an ounce of lemon juice here. I'm going to do 3/4 of an ounce of our Fashionola. We'll do 1/4 ounce of our house-made grenadine. And I can put recipes for the grenadine and the Fashionola up on the notes at the end and at the end of the episode. So I'm going to do 2 nice little dashes of our Peychaud's bitters. And it's a hurricane. This drink's supposed to have a little punch. I think what we're gonna do is a full 2 ounces. I don't wanna go nuts. It's the middle of the afternoon. So we'll go a ½ ounce overproof. This sucker is 57.5. ½ ounce of that bad boy. And we'll do a 1.5 ounces of our Probitas, which I believe comes in at 43%, 47. So look at that. Flip over here, do a quick 1.5 ounces of you. Cap this guy up. And ice. And we'll be doing a shake and dump pebble ice on this one. Really don't need to shake it for too long. You will feel this sucker. I mean, you can see how chilly that tin got. Don't need to shake too long. We don't want to over dilute. And because we used a white rum and all these beautiful red ingredients, we've still been able to retain that wonderful red color. Maybe a little bit even more of a pinky hue. Give a nice little ice pile here. I actually had a couple passion fruits left over from the vine outside, so not typically used to garnish this cocktail, but I think that looked quite pretty. And boy, is that a beautiful aroma. Really sells this cocktail. Give her a straw, and a hurricane would not be complete without a windswept umbrella. And there you have it. The hurricane, as made originally at Pat O'Brien's in New Orleans in 1940 something. Sometime in the 40s. Let's give this sucker a taste. Hopefully you were able to join us along at home in making this. Oh, that is fantastic. Where to begin? Boy, is there just a big, bright pop of cane right off the bat. You get a little bit of the ester forward qualities of the Probitas coming out, and then immediately followed up by all these tart, tangy flavors. The blackberries are jumping out. The brightness of the pineapple, the citrus, the passion fruit is certainly there, especially with this little half fruit on here, just kind of giving that nice, tangy, almost kind of funky passion fruit flavor on the nose. Everything just ties together super well. It's tart, it's sweet, it's funky, it's fantastic. Go make one. What a treat. And as I stated before, if you have the chance, get down to New Orleans. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful city. It's a fantastic place. Wonderful people. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to go share this with someone that I love. And until next time, thank you for joining us. Toodaloo.